started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this interesting community forum that we're hosting today. Hopefully you find it of interest and value. We have a lot of presenters because there's a lot going on here in Berks County. We chose to do this program because we saw that there are a lot of organizations in Berks County that were receiving money from the state and very actively interested in working with trying to address the violence and violence prevention in Berks County. I'm Dave Myers. I'm the director of the Berks Alliance, and right now I'm going to turn it over to John Weidenhammer, who is the chairman of the Berks Alliance.
Thanks, Dave, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining our call today. We really have a super important topic today that we want to talk about, and I know we've got a panel of experts here that are going to be able to not only talk about the topic, but address some of your concerns and some of the directions that we can take to engage in violence, both understanding, the root causes, but also what we can do to mitigate it. So I want to thank Dave also. He does a great job of organizing these sessions. Again, I want to thank our presenters for taking the time to put their material together. And I also want to thank those of you that are participating in the call and those that have been very, faithful at listening to our community forums. As you know, the Berks Alliance is a community development organization, and we're focused on improving the health, wealth, and education attainment of our community. And this really sort of fits into our overall profile of the things that we're concerned about, because it does address one of the more critical community issues that we have and need to confront. So again, thanks everybody for being with us. I'll turn it back to Dave.
Thank you, John. I'm going to cover very quickly some ground rules that we have for the program. We asked you to keep your cameras on because it's always good to see live people, especially when you're doing things remotely like this.
Yes.
We asked you also to mute your microphone so we don't have a lot of background noise while our presentations are going on. We would ask you to use the chat function at the bottom of the screen to submit your comments and questions. We will get to those once we get through our presentations. Any questions and comments that we don't get through, we will share with our presenters and ask them if they want to provide a written response. As John mentioned, we will post this on the Berks Alliance website. We will send it to everybody who registered for the program, and we will post it on BCTV so you get to watch it. You're going to find that we have a number of people who will register for the program but watch it when they have time rather than joining us during the lunch hour. And we would encourage you, as you get a copy of the video, if you want to share it with other people, please feel free to do that. There's no proprietary copyright laws to anything that we're doing here. So with that, we have 7 different presenter groups today. We decided to do this forum because we saw notice earlier this year that 6 organizations in Berks County have received significant funding from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to support their work at violence prevention in Berks County. COVID has done a number of things to us and changing our lives and affecting us how we do things. One of them is social interaction and people, how they interact with each other, how they feel affected, how they feel engaged in society, and what they think is acceptable behavior. So we're going to have our different presenters. They will talk about what their organization is doing to address these issues, and then we will open it up for the questions and comments. We're going to start with Jennifer Barney, who is the Injury Prevention Outreach Coordinator for Tower Health, who's going to talk about what Tower Health is doing. Jennifer.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that everybody can see the PowerPoint presentation. All right, so hopefully everybody can go ahead and see. the violence prevention initiatives that the Reading Hospital, again, my name is Jennifer Barney. I'm the Injury Prevention Outreach Coordinator for the Reading Hospital Trauma Center. From the first slide, you can see, I'm sure this isn't news to any of you, being the fact that you're involved in the violence prevention initiatives. And so really, you know, all these incidents took place between January and February of 2023, and all the victims were transported to Reading Hospital. Just so all of you know, Reading Hospital is a Trauma One facility and is the only trauma center within Berks County. The next slide really just talks about how many patients we were seeing between the time period of January 1st, 2021 and November 27th, 2022. You can see that 186 were gunshot wounds out of 308 patients, and 112 were related to stabbing. 256 of those individuals were male, and 51 of those individuals were females. 10% of those patients succumbed to their injuries. When taking a look, when we went to apply for the PCCD funding, we wanted to gather data in regards to where those injuries were coming from. And you can see that in the 10 zip codes, 6 of them were in the city of Reading, and a third of those violent related injuries, 102 out of 308. So this just gives you an idea of location. Now, we also wanted to note that the community health needs assessment that was completed in 2002 recognizes that violence was a significant concern within stakeholders and key informants surveys. And because of that feedback, Reading Hospital's implementation plan includes violent prevention strategies that include a number of actions, items to seek community violence, both within hospital and the community. So these are examples on the slide of what we will be doing in the future and have started working on, such as conduct Stop the Bleed training. Several of you might have already participated in these or have seen them. We will also develop and implement hospital-based violence intervention program, which I'll talk a little bit more on in a minute. We're going to establish violence screening and referral in clinical sites. That's something that we will be starting on in the near future. And establish annual employee violence and education addressing patients and patient care within the workplace. We will also create a workplace violence policy and establish a team to analyze workplace violence incidents. We will also be providing mental health first aid training, which will be another initiative because I'm sure many of you are familiar how closely related violence-related injuries are in regards to mental health. So I want to take a moment and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty, which is why we received the PCCD funding and what our plans are to move forward with it. And that really, the bulk of the funding is going to be to implement a hospital-based violence intervention program. We are going to call it the Violence Recovery Program because we recognize that victims of community violence and their families are recovering from these injuries. So the violence recovery specialists, really the idea behind it is that the violence recovery specialists will engage victims of violence during admission and discharge. And then they would be able to offer support to them by providing them case management, as well as community-based referrals. So those individuals will not necessarily have an end time within case management. The person hired for that position would continue to support the individual as needed. So that being said, anybody who knows anyone who might be interested at some point in the near future will be looking to fill that position. And we would love to have somebody who is familiar with the city of Reading, who is lived experience of violence, either injured themselves or have had a family close member, because that's the type of person we would like working with these individuals. It's really important to establish a relationship and have a sense of trust. The other piece to the funding is Lakeside Global Trauma 101. So this is a training that really just provides basic training in what is trauma-informed care. We're going to roll it out to the community, but we're also going to educate our staff. We have done this in the past, but it's something that always needs to be continued to be educated on. And we're also going to utilize CHOP's Stress Less initiative, which is basically a way that when the person that we employ, the violence recovery specialist, will be trained, and then other employees will be trained to prevent post-traumatic stress disorder, which often happens with employees who are working in high stress situations. So we want to make sure that everyone receives the treatment that they need so that they continue to do good work within the community. And then lastly, we are going to educate on gun safety and distribute gun locks. We're going to be working with the state police in order to do so, as well as some community organizations and outreach. And that concludes what Reading Hospital Trauma Center and Reading Hospital are going to be doing. Oh, I think you might be muted.
I am. Thank you. I need all the help I can get. I know that one of your colleagues, Courtney Powers, has joined us as well. I don't know, Courtney, if you have anything you want to add to what Jennifer said, or whether we should just keep moving through because we've got a lot of presenters.
We do have a lot of presenters. No, I think Jennifer summed it up beautifully. This is definitely a primary focus of the hospital in the coming months. You know, we've received the feedback from the community, and that's why it's so important for us to engage with everybody. So, you know, we can determine what our top community needs are, and then seek out funding and programs like the hospital-based violence intervention program. We can implement them and help improve the health and wellness. So thank you for having us, and we're looking forward to hearing from everybody else.
And before we move on to the next presenter, Jennifer, I do have one question I wanted to ask you while we're here. You did an interesting presentation in terms of where the victims of violence are geographically located, what their sex is. Do you have any information about age? Is it fairly diverse, or is it largely young people, or is it all over?
No, so we actually see the majority of our patients are actually considered adults, but I would say they are young adults between the ages of 18 to, I think actually is like 42 is our highest. So, but that 18 to 24 age group is, you know, pretty popular.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. Our next presenter is Chris Winters, who is the president and CEO of the Olivet Boys and Girls Clubs. Chris.
Thank you very much. Just give me a second here to. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you, and thanks for allowing me to go out of order here and be second. I think obviously Olivet is celebrating 125 years of serving this community this weekend, matter of fact. And in those 125 years, we've impacted the lives of thousands of children throughout our time frame. The reality is that the Olivet Boys and Girls Club stands as a safe place for kids to come. But the reality is, during the pandemic, we learned that we cannot operate in a vacuum. We have to be able to be working. And it's intriguing to me as I was looking at all the faces on all the tiles, that how many of you actually are involved with the Olivet Boys and Girls Club in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in a small way or whether it's in a huge way, Dr. Murray, with the Reading School District and all her folks, and in particular, Mike Toledo and Centro Hispano and providing us food service for our kids to make sure they have hot meals. There is a lot of people that come to the table every day to make sure that we're serving the kids of this community appropriately in a way that we can try to start fighting back. But I wanted to do this screen presentation, and I'm going to skip over a couple slides because this was designed also as a presentation to people who support the Olivets. This screen here is probably the most important screen of our entire presentation. This is a survey that we do of our members, and last year we served almost 5,000 kids in a variety of ways, whether it's through our Hubs of Hope initiative, whether it is through our after school or our summer camp. The most important things that you see on this screen and why the violence prevention measure was approved for us was because of these data points. 96% of the kids feel emotionally safe while they're at our clubs. 99% of them get opportunities they would not get. We're not giving kids something for free. We're giving kids opportunities because we're working with community partners to get them skill sets and other opportunities that they otherwise don't get. We work with the school district in order to make sure we know the kids that are struggling through our Power Hour program and giving them educational support. We work with people like the Reading Science Center and Adele and her group out at Albright to address STEM activities and look at those functions to create an atmosphere where they can learn new skills and develop new skills. And we're going to continue doing that as part of what we do under the VIP prevention. 98% of our club members are feeling safer inside our clubs than at home or in the community. That's a huge number when you think about it, because our clubs are located in very core areas of the city, but we're not everywhere. I can't do what Daphne and Reading Rec do south of Penn. I don't have a facility. I can't do what the Salvation Army does, but I can handle East Reading. I can handle Oak Brook and the Millmont community. We can work in Clinton Street and out by Bear Park and Schuylkill Avenue corridor, and then obviously Powell in the 6th Ward and Mulberry in the Hillside area. Those are the areas we can work. And when you look at Mulberry Club in particular and the incredible work that Jordan Rodriguez is doing at that club, that's our oldest club. But that is in the most densely populated area. It is also in the area where those facts and pictures that our colleagues from Reading Hospital just showed you are from the backyard of that Mulberry Club. That is the most densely populated. Radera probably will be able to get, and she may even go into in her presentation about the crime statistics. That is one of the most heavily crime-laden areas in the city of Reading that is around our Mulberry Club. So when you look at that 98% number, that number is huge because it shows the impact Olivet is having in that community. 92% of our kids expect to graduate from high school. That's an expectation at Olivet. That's an expectation. And as we move forward with this grant funding, we're looking at the incredible work of people like Penn State, Berks, Lori Groban, and Ebony and Radera, and Edna are doing with some of their initiatives. A huge shout out to Lori Groban. One of the reasons that we're successful at Clinton is Lori takes a lot of time to go and work with kids, including taking them for hikes and trails. That's that mentorship. It's that personal involvement that we desperately need from our community partners to make this work. The strategic plan of this organization is to continue to look at expanding services and programs to meet the needs of all youth, no matter whether they are in the city of Reading or they're outside the city of Reading. All of it is not just a Reading-based program. It's a program that addresses needs in other parts of the county, and we're starting to see those needs expanding outside of the city base. So some of those issues that you saw and some of those crime statistical numbers that we're hearing in the reports, you're seeing those in boroughs and municipalities. All of it needs to be prepared in the future to work on those initiatives. This is just to give you guys an example of what we're seeing. And part of the reason you're seeing the increase in numbers of kids coming to our clubs is because of the strong partnership we have with the Reading School District and the feeder schools that come in. We're increasing family engagement, and part of our violence prevention is going to be continuing to increase that family engagement with new initiatives. Jordan, again, I mentioned him earlier. Jordan is an incredible asset of this organization. And Jordan has come up with 2 initiatives. One is called Saturday Teen Days, And another one is going to be a brunch that he's planning on doing with teens to get them exposure to people, including some of the folks on this video, to be involved with our kids, to be involved with our teens, to give them a sense of empowerment and exposure to people who have, come up through the ropes and understand what they're dealing with and understand what it needs to be a teen and how to continue to grow and function and become a integral part of our community. The Walking School Bus Initiative is another way that we are fighting violence in a small way, because our presence in the street cuts down on interaction with our kids coming from our feeder schools to our club sites. We redefined a holistic approach, and we're going to continue to do that. And that's part of the violence prevention effort that we're waging here. And one of the things that we did here is we changed how we approached. A lot of you have heard about our Hubs of Hope initiative. Our Hubs of Hope initiatives are something that are, we're addressing the fact that we can't do it all. But I can reach out to Carrie Schultz and RMF and on a child who wants to learn how to play an instrument. I can reach out to Stephen Faines and BCAP and talk to them about rental assistance for their families, so that they're not turning 4 different doorknobs in a year. They actually are able to stay in a stable home, a stable environment. We cannot do this alone. All of it cannot do this alone. We have to work with all of our community partners, which is approaching 75 small, big, and large community partners to make this work. One of the biggest things that we're focusing in right now as part of the VIP measure is our mental health. We not only did professional development of our staff, but we are now looking at consistent specialized mental health support at our club sites through partnerships with Westchester University and BCIU. To all of you on this call, you want to know how you can help the Olivet Boys and Girls Club. This next point is the most important. We need mentors. We need people who are willing to come and spend 2 hours a week with our kids. We need 40 mentors by the end of this year. And if there's a call of action to any of you on this phone to help us with violence prevention, is 2 hours seems like a lot of time, but to the lives of these children, it's invaluable. I myself have mentored kids as a CEO, and just to spend 2 hours with them and listen to what they're going through and listen to what their thoughts are and what they're dealing with in this post-pandemic environment, it's alarming. And at the same time, it's amazing to see their ability to continue to fight through. We really cannot say enough about the fact that we really need mentors. So if you're willing to be a mentor, please reach out to us and let us know. But we can work through the program with you and explain how it works. But it is critical. It is a critical need of this organization. Family engagement is going to continue, and then strategic partnerships. The strategic partnerships is going to really become key. We're going to change some of our ground rules on how we work with partners. You are going to be required to submit certain documentation under some new guidelines from the Boys and Girls Club of America. If you are listed as a nonprofit, we're going to require things like, that we have a copy of your letter saying you're a nonprofit and that you are registered to do business in the state of Pennsylvania. That's a requirement, and it's going to be moving forward because we have to look at that in such a way that we're effectively bringing partnerships to the table that can help our kids in a variety of different ways. Okay, sorry, I skipped over those things, but I noticed, Dave, I'm running out of time. We served over 3,000 youth last year enrolled as members in the clubs. We served another almost 2,000 kids through our Hubs of Hope initiative, where a young person between 6 and 18 can show up at a club if they need food, if they need shoes, if they need clothing, if they need support, whether it's from one of our agency partners like Safe Berks, because they're a victim of domestic violence. If it's, again, somebody like Stephen Faines and BCAP, where we reach out and say, hey, mom's going to get evicted. Can you guys help? We know who those partners are, and we served another almost 2,000 kids. That tells you about the key success of what the Olivet model is. Academic success, healthy lifestyles, good character, and citizenship are key. And most of our after school and summer programming has been at free or greatly reduced costs. Here's some of the other programs that we offer throughout our thing, and we'll continue to build on. one of the reasons I wanted to bring this picture up, this gentleman here is Jordan Rodriguez. You want to know how we fight violence? We put people like Jordan Rodriguez in leadership positions to be able to give him the ability to reach into a community. He's our site director at Mulberry. That's the Mulberry Club. And during this remote learning support from September to May of 21, he became an integral part of how we reached out into the community. That's how Olivet's doing it, because we have incredible leadership at our site director level, and they know what they're seeing around their sites. They're getting to know the community around their sites, and they're addressing those needs individually at the sites. Here's some of our newest initiatives: the Hubs of Hope, the Reading Rec, West Reading Rec over at the Elementary Center, the Reading Youth Police Academy. Our teen takeover is going to be changed a little bit. We've changed the name of it. It'll be Saturday Teen Days, but we're also looking at community partnerships and supporting people like Radera and the Village and the work that she's been doing. And we will continue to support Radera and her effort up at City Park. Community partnerships and mental health services. The biggest thing that goal we're aiming for this year is extending our in-person hours for our teen engagement. Teens need us when they need us. It's not something that stops at 8 o'clock at night. Some nights our clubs have been open till 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night before curfew goes in place. And we're doing that because the kids need us. We're not here to tell them, oh, only come here. We need to be available for them. So throughout 2023 into 2024, we're going to look at expanding our hours of operation so that we can address more teen engagement and give them a safe haven to come and meet with people to, have their concerns heard, but also give them the ability to be somewhere safe and sound off the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Very, very interesting. I really appreciate the importance of collaboration and how that is a significant factor in this. Our next presenter is Anne Marie Stout, who is the Violence Prevention Program Director at the Salvation Army, an interesting partner in this activity. Anne Marie.
So I am the Violence Prevention Program Director at the Salvation Army. We're located in the south side of Reading. I've been a social worker here for about 4 years, but in the last year, we've been given this opportunity to start this violence prevention program. So we received funding to develop and implement a trauma-informed support services for children in the Reading area in order to help reduce the cycle of violence. We received funding to hire a social worker. We're going to be hiring a part-time person to do outreach, if anybody is interested in that. And then we also provide food to the kids who attend our groups and education supplies. And we have a therapist who we consult with to provide these services. So the children that we're focusing on are ages 6 to 13. Who've been impacted by gun violence, other forms of violence, or other traumatic experiences or adverse childhood experiences. We currently have some formal partners: Reading Police Department, Safe Berks, Berks County Victim Witness Unit, and these people are willing to send us direct referrals for therapeutic services and are open to us sending them referrals. And in addition, some of them actually come in and work with our kids and provide education to them. So we know that children are impacted by trauma long-term. It can have an overall impact into adulthood over their health and development. It can impact their ability to do well in school, control emotions and actions. It puts them at a higher risk for substance abuse and risk-taking behaviors, and it can negatively impact their ability to build or maintain positive relationships. So if these things go unaddressed, they can put the children at a greater risk for delinquency, victimization, or perpetration of violence. Just within our learning center, we have an after-school program as well as a summer camp. I work directly with the children doing assessment for different types of risk factors related to violence. We've had 54 children, and 2 of them have actually lost loved ones to gun violence. They've been witnesses to domestic violence, witnessed violence in the community, have been afraid because they've heard gunshots or reported bullying. And these are all children who have not even reached their teenage years, who are being impacted by violence, showing that we need to kind of reach them while they're younger. So the services that we provide is I work directly with our learning center. I assess all the kids for risk factors associated with delinquency and violence. All the children are assessed for previous exposure to violence or traumatic experiences. I do weekly skills classes with them. I do mentoring, and I also do homework help. I do outreach. So there's many of us, as you can see, trying to reduce the violence in our community. I help connect community members to the support services that we have here. And as a part of adding the additional staff, we are planning to do more family engagement activities. Our main service is the therapeutic support groups, which the kids help me name our safe space group. It is a closed group setting with up to 5 families. We can have multiple groups going at a time though, but this is just to make it more comfortable for the children. We meet weekly for 10 weeks. It's client focused. So if the kids in a general sense have issues with anger, we work on that. Or if it's self-esteem, we work on that. It gives them a space to talk about their experiences and gain support from one another. And then we also, just have fun and do some activities to help reinforce their positive coping skills. And then a part of that, any family that joins, their parents receive case management. So I try to identify what those specific behavior challenges are, any barriers, and try to connect them to services to help increase stability with the family. And then I also do a little bit of education piece about talking to your kids about gun safety, how you can help prevent youth violence, and the impact that trauma does have on children and how they can support their children. So what we're looking for from our groups is increased positive behaviors from the kids, increased use of positive coping skills, building family relationships, increasing their attitude towards school and attending school, getting good grades. We're hoping to connect families to these needed resources and help them to increase their parenting skills. Moving forward, we would like to continue to identify and support these at-risk children. Emphasis on building agency partnerships for warm handoffs. We are mobile. We will come to you. The kids do not have to come to our building. We are hoping to expand services to the outlying school districts beyond Reading School District. Help the Reading citizens to increase their community involvement, because the community has to be just involved as the agencies that are working towards this. Help to destigmatize mental health within our community. And of course, continue to support the efforts to end the cycle of violence in our community. Thank you for your time, and thank you to everyone out there trying to end the violence in our community.
Got to remember to take my own microphone off. Thank you, Emery. Very, very helpful. We'll come back. There's some questions I think that are going to surface. Next up, we have Stefan Fain. Stefan is get your title right here, Director of Community Engagement for the Berks Community Action Program. Stefan.
Well, thank you again, Dave, for inviting me on here. Hello to everyone. Over here at BCAP, we kind of just been doing what we always do. We've either partnered or supported most of the people on this call. What we've also done is we created 2 new programs. We created a teens program, which stands for Take Each and Every Necessary Step. And what that is, we've created 5 steps to help these kids, talk about education, talk about mental health, talk about communication, perception, morals, and just teaching kids what these things exactly are, and the mental health piece is big. Teaching kids, grief. A lot of these kids are doing what they do out of anger, out of grief, out of hunger, and we're letting them know, look, this might not be anger. This might be this. You might not be sad. You might be this. Just really going to the ground and teaching those things from the ground up. Let's define these words. Let's define how you're feeling, so we can try to get to a space of knowing exactly what's going on. That's our teens program, and that's Henry Calvo who is the coordinator from there. He's a kid that grew up in the Olivets. He's a personal trainer, a boxing coach. So through his skills, we've been able to do tons of things, partner with like Opportunity House to give the kids that stay there or go there opportunities to go to a boxing gym, get some anger off them, but also teach them this is about self-defense. This isn't about fighting. This is about being able to help you get some anger off you instead of fighting other people. Learn how to use the way you're feeling in a positive way. And we also have a FAST program. And what that is family assistance supporting the teens. So what we've been finding out is we've been helping some kids who are okay and doing good, but what's been pulling that kid back is he knows he has a parent at home that's not well off. So what we've been able to do is bring them all in, and while one person's with the FAST coordinator, the other person's with the teens coordinator, and trying to help this whole family dynamic at one time. What we've really been trying to do is by doing a lot of our work with the teens and the kids, we're trying to stop people from ever becoming dysfunctional adults. We're trying to stop people from ever needing rental assistance or ever needing utility assistance or budget counseling and all those things. So we've also done things. We have like teen writing clubs for kids. We're about to start some financial literacy classes for kids. It's really just a lot of educating kids on, if you're educated, that's going to help you stay out of a lot of violent things. Education and knowledge is power. Through that, so we partnered up with all the schools. We have like an honor roll ice cream thing where we'll be helping 5,000 kids in this session that we're doing. We've also partnered up with some of the schools and helped them get PBIS programs, where that's positive behavior incentives for the kids that are behaving. Because another thing we're realizing too is, what about the good kids? What about the kid who's not doing bad? What about that kid? He also needs support. He or she needs support as well. So we've been just trying to attack all those angles. We've helped Muhlenberg get in a VEDM program where it's kids mentoring and counseling each other for kids, by kids, and that's what we've been doing a lot at BCAP, is letting the kids tell us, well, what do you want? Well, we want to go on trips. We want opportunities for jobs. So we've been giving them that. Over last summer, we partnered with the mayor with their summer work initiative program. We were taking those kids to the jobs every day. And then the next day we were taking them out to like, what's the word? Like a service, like a home ec pro, like, what is the word? I don't even know. But like, so kids could learn different skills, like for, I'm gonna just let that go because I can't even think of the word I'm trying to remember. But we partnered up with the mayor with that initiative so kids could see what jobs are available, but also what technical schools were available. If you had a trade schools, that's the word I was looking for. So we were doing things like that. And we're continuing to support. We have summer movie nights coming for 8 weeks of the summer for kids that we're partnering with the reg. We've partnered with the Olivets doing the teen takeovers. We're here to support others as well. Like, we have our own programs, but we've also been supporting others as well. We partnered with Radara and those guys on everything that she has going on. And that's basically what we're trying to do as well. Not just do our own thing, but partner with everybody to enhance whatever anybody else is doing. If we can help enhance that in any type of way, we were trying to do that as well. But our main thing is we've just been trying to focus on educating these kids and just giving them opportunities. This past weekend, we just took 15 kids to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments that have never been there. That's how we're going to change these kids. Opportunities and knowing that there's more for them. That's the biggest thing we've been doing, is just giving. So we've helped kids. We've sent some kids to ceramic camp last summer, art camps. Whatever these kids are telling us they want, we've pretty much been just doing that. We helped 14 teenagers last year work at the rec. We paid for them to work down there. We partnered with them to be able to do that. So whatever is going to keep a kid off the street, whatever is going to keep a kid safe, that's how we keep them not affected by violence. And we just let them know that part of it is on them. You must do your job in school. You do your part, and we're going to come in and do our part. And that's what that's where we've been incentivizing a lot of kids. So yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Thanks, Stephen. That's interesting and very, very good. It's nice to hear everybody talking about the importance of collaboration and working together. We'll talk some more about that when we get to the questions and comment period. Radera McClendon is the Executive Director of the Village of Reading. Radera, we're going to turn it over to you. I think we're all going to be interested in learning more about what is the Village of Reading and what it is the work that you're doing. And we know you may have a little bit of difficulty because of location making your presentation, but it's to you.
Yes, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me. And if I cut out, I'll try my best to get back on. So I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called the Village of Reading, and we work directly with community partners to provide resources and services to prevent gun and community violence through education, outreach, advocating for change in community norms, and providing a safe place for youth. So we were recently awarded some funding through PCCD just 2 years ago. I believe it's been 2 years now. It's, we're fairly new ourselves. We're a new grassroots organization. And I just want to spend a little time speaking on why it's so important to me, why this mission is so personal to me. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Reading. In fact, I currently still live in District 6. Gun violence has impacted my life since the age of 2 years old. I lost my grandfather to suicide when I was just 2. Most people, when they think about community violence, they don't always consider suicide in that way, but it absolutely is gun violence as well. So by the time I was 2, I lost my grandfather, and I continued to lose loved ones, both to gun violence and also the opposite. I have perpetrators in my family, loved ones that committed senseless acts of violence, and my brother, who I love to death, who's been incarcerated majority of his life because he never received the help that he needed for his mental health issues that he had. And so this was really personal to me, and I felt like I needed to do something in my community, and that's how the village was formed. And we spend a lot of time, and we started really providing social activities because we know that in order to reach the kids in our community, they had to have our trust, or we had to have their trust, and they had to be able to rely on us. So we spent the last year and some change really just doing social activities. In the summer last year, we've hosted pool parties where we averaged anywhere between 200 to 300 teens that were coming out to those. Most recently, just 6 months ago, we started a teen cafe in partnership with some of our community partners like the city and Reading Rec, as well as Westchester University, to provide free mental health services. And so we're getting ready to kick up our next phase, our meat and potatoes of our work. And if I can figure out how to share this, I'll just share a one-pager of our current programs. Hopefully everyone can see that. So our first source of funding was to go cover 3 of these initiatives out of the 6, which is a resource service hub. The idea was to create this safe place that young people can walk in and get connected to resources and help. And while they do that at the cafe center, we find that majority of the young people that are reaching us out for help really connects with us through social media or text messaging. So we spend a lot of time connecting them with mental health services. Usually they're looking for a job. I would say job search and mental health services are probably our top 2 requests that we get on a weekly basis. At our cafe, we currently serve between 30 to 40 teenagers every Friday night. And again, they can walk in there and just kind of hang out. They can get connected to resources or counseling if they choose to. Another initiative that we started last year was our support group. So we have a Youth Connection peer support group that really just focuses on nonviolent communication. And we wanted to create a support group that wasn't just sitting around and just talking, but we wanted to do some interactive things because we know the benefit that has with mental health. So we incorporated some hands-on activities. So if you're coming to our support group, that really looks like just coming in, kind of going over some housekeeping rules. And then we do a hands-on activity, which is usually art. We partnered with Berks Nature to do nature trips, and then also some local photographers that teaches photo voicing, which is using the art of photography to express your emotions. And so we've been doing that now for about a year, and we keep our groups pretty small. We average about 12 or less students that attend our support groups. And it's really just a place that they can come and kind of open up about things that are going on in their community. We just started to kick up the phase of our violence interruption work. With the help of West Ed, we are creating a team of violence interrupters in the area of District 6. So we're focusing on District 6. We received some data and some mapping between the Reading City Police and also United Way, who did some mapping for us. And there's a hot spot in the area of District 6 where we're looking at to start our violence interruption act, excuse me. So really that is the street out workers who actively work to mediate conflicts and prevent violence or talk down someone that may have a gun, and provide a little bit of case management as well. And then with that, we needed some sort of digital platform where the community could connect with the violence interrupters. And the interrupters, the whole idea is that they work as a medium between community and police. So they need a way to reach those violence interrupters. So we are working on our texting platform. This platform will be used from the community to report when there's incidents of conflict that our interrupters need to respond to, or if they need some further assistance with connecting to resources and community partners. A new program that we're starting to roll out that we just received funding for with some partners is called the Trust Program, the Road to an Ultimate Successful Transition. These are paid opportunities for young people in the juvenile justice system. We know how important it is to be able to work and earn wages. But we also know that young people are not prepared to that next level of adulthood when they don't have the emotional intelligence to keep that job. So what we look to do as the village is really to have a lot of conversations around our culture norms, build emotional intelligence, and prepare our young people for success in that way. We know that all of the gun violence isn't necessarily gang related. We know sometimes it's just off of what young people perceive as beef or conflict, and they don't know how to communicate it, or at least it's not cool enough to communicate that. So we hope to just really bring a lot of conversation around those issues. And I think that's all I have. So thank you for listening.
Radira, a couple quick questions if I can.
Sure.
We've had people ask, where is District 6 in the city? Some of us know, but many of us probably don't know. Can you sort of give us the geographic boundaries of where that is, or what the target areas you're talking about?
Yeah, so I mentioned that I'm a lifelong citizen here in Reading, but I still don't know my street names. District 6 is the northwest section of Reading. So think Schuylkill Avenue, maybe like the 1-200 block of Pear Street. So Barbie's Playground, Lars Park, the Olivets Powell Center, that area would be District 6.
Okay, thank you. And the cafe, where is it? Physically
The
located?
cafe. Yeah, sorry. I'm so
That's okay.
I'm on vacation right now, and my excuse is I forgot my documents and I'm working off my cell phone, so I apologize. So the cafe is currently at City Park. So it's at 11th and Penn, where Berks Nature used to be, that reddish pinkish color building that sits on the corner. So we enter through the City Park entrance. So we say City Park, but we've been there now for about 6 months.
Okay, good. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will move on. Our next presenters are Ebony Cunningham Stringer and Laurie Grobman, who are faculty at Penn State, and we'll talk about the initiatives that they're doing, pretty significant coordination efforts here.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to share my contact information, just getting started out here. We are Not One More, a Peace and Justice project, and we are a fairly new organization in Reading, and our initial focus here is working with many of the people who have already spoken and who are in the Zoom room today to combat violence in our community. So my contact information is there should anyone need to get in touch. So I want to say a little bit just about our work. Of course, that is the main thrust of our reason for being here today. We are working in our organization on an evidence-based model, what is often referred to as the cure violence model. And one of the things that we are curious about is if this model can work in a smaller urban location like Reading. We have seen a lot of evidence that it works in places like Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, but we want to know if this is a model that we can adapt to work in Reading. Our leadership team, Edna DePini, who you'll hear from shortly, and Laura Grotman, we have raised children or are raising children in and around the Reading area. We're involved very much. You heard a little bit about Lori's work with Olivet, and we're all involved in working with youth in the community, many of whom are at risk. And so this for us is, yes, it's youth work, it's community work, but it's also heart work for us. And so that is why we have the declaration of not one more child to be lost to violence, not one more parent burying their child. That's a prophetic proclamation. And I always say that we will keep saying it until it becomes our reality, until we see it. So let me give you some of the objectives that we're working on very pointedly. First, we are looking to work directly with high-risk youth, and there are specific designations that will determine whether or not a child falls into a high-risk category. So we're in particular looking at kids who are known to carry firearms, those who have lost a loved one, peer or family member to violence. So we are looking to intervene before retaliation can take place. And we are working with those young people to develop an individual violence reduction plan. And in order to develop this plan, we are taking a strength-based approach. And so we first start by asking, young people, essentially, what do you have working for you? Right? Do you have leadership abilities? Many high-risk youth do. Do you have an entrepreneurial bent that we can tap into? Do you have artistic abilities, gifts, and talents, athleticism, right? So we want to start with what's going well for that young person and build on that strength. Do you have a strong family support network that we can tap into, right? And so from there, building on those strengths, we develop a plan where we can take youth from where they are to really where they want to be. So this requires deep listening. It requires long-term support so that we can understand youth's unique needs, their personal desires for themselves and their families, and also the obstacles they may be facing. The next prong of our program deals with training and deploying peacemakers, what is commonly called violence interrupters. And so peacemakers are a cross-section of the community in the approach that we're taking. So it includes credible messengers, right? And these are people who have caused harm in the past, that have chosen violence in the past, but are now ready to help fix the problem that they may have helped to create. And we also are looking for ordinary citizens who want to do more than complain about the shortcomings of our youth, complain about the flaws of our youth, and want to put their hands, their feet, their time, and their love where their mouth is, right? And so we want ordinary, everyday, concerned citizens to become involved as peacemakers as well. Peacemakers will undergo extensive training in conflict mediation, trauma-informed care, and they'll be ready to respond when violence is threatened or actually carried out in our community. And again, all in service of working towards that proclamation of not one more. Next, we have already begun work with building our Youth Violence Intervention and Prevention Coalition. We've had several meetings, and so we're meeting with community partners. We are bringing youth in, businesses, healthcare providers, and concerned citizens who are ready for action. And in a nutshell, what we are doing is leveraging our resources. We're leveraging our spaces, our knowledge, in service of our youth, in service of one another, and in service of community. So we learned that members of the coalition needed trauma-informed training. And so we've been able to partner with an agency in the community to provide 2 opportunities to get that training. And there will be more opportunities coming for those who want to become more trauma informed. At a recent outreach meeting, at a recent coalition meeting, we also learned that residents are interested in reclaiming park spaces, particularly as we go into the summer months, that residents are interested in making sure that our parks are safe, having adults who care to actually be stationed in the park to look out for kids and make sure that they are safe as they use parks for their intended purpose, again, as we go into the summer months. And so, as has been stated several times on the call, it takes a community to get this job done. And so our next coalition meeting is on May the 3rd at 4 p.m. at Reading Hospital. And we're going to be meeting with city leaders at that meeting, community organizations, to begin charting the way forward to make our parks safe, crime-free, drug-free, trash-free, so that kids can use them again for their intended purpose. We are also working to change community norms about violence. And Edna DePini, again, you'll hear from her in just a few moments about some of the programs and activities that are planned around changing norms, but they include camps, teen summits, which the teen summit is coming up next Wednesday. So it would be great to get your young person involved in that, and that'll be held here on the Penn State Berks campus. And we also have a storytelling project that my colleague Lori will share with you in just a moment as well. So I will leave you with this. For those who are interested, we want you to come out and be a part of the coalition meeting. We're partnering with the Reading Hospital. And you heard a little bit about Tower Health's work earlier in the meeting. Come and join us and share your concerns and what actions you would like to see taken, and also, learn about how you can get involved in some of the initiatives we already have going on. And if you're interested in joining the coalition, working as an outreach worker, becoming a peacemaker, or otherwise volunteering, you can reach us at the email address that you see there on the screen. And from here, I'll turn it over to Lori, who'll tell you a little bit more about how you can get involved with the Storytelling Project.
Thank you, Ebony. Good to see everyone and have this opportunity to talk about the Storytelling Project. We're calling it Not One More, a community's stories of loss and love. It's part of the changing community norms aspect of the overall program. I'm very, very passionate about storytelling and stories' abilities to create empathy, create change. We are going to be focusing on how violence can permeate and ripple through a community, and not only how it impacts those directly involved in violence. One story we heard the other day, that is the kind of story we want to tell, is about a 10th grader who has told his mother that he has checked out all the video cameras between his home and the school and has decided that based on the number of cameras, he's walking on Greenwich Street. And he told her that he wants video in case he's hurt or shot, and so that the police can find the assailant. And that's just kind of the, you know, the kinds of stories that we don't really hear much about. We only really hear about, you know, those who were shot and of course, those who perpetrated the crimes. And we think that this will go a long way to, you know, really trying to get communities and understanding the impacts of violence. I've put up on the chat a link to a registration form or a sign-up form. It's not a commitment, but this project will be all volunteer based. I need interviewers, writers, translators. We're hoping that every story will be published, and it's going to be published online, as well as there will be 4 public storytelling events to share these stories. We hope they're all going to be in Spanish and English. Photographers, artists, editors, and you know, originally I thought that, you know, there would be someone who would interview and write and edit while working in groups. I'm hoping that those who get involved in the story writing side of things will, you know, really learn from each other. And you don't have to be a strong writer. There's several of us who will help with that. I will certainly be helping with that. So I really hope that everyone will consider joining. I don't think it's a huge commitment in terms of time, but I think it could have a big impact. One thing I want to say is if you have a way for me to connect with your colleagues, whatever kind of organization or business you're in, please do reach out to me at, I'll put it up here as well, at my email at Penn State, and I will be happy to talk to, you know, anyone in your organization about ways of getting involved. It's going to be a lot of, oh, what great idea can we come up with? For example, Anisha Smith heard about the Story Project. She works with CareerLink, and we're going to be doing this. This will be the only paid project, but youth between 17 and 24 in the CareerLink program in the summer will be able to be paid to participate in the roles that I've mentioned. I heard that BCAP, I heard on this Zoom that BCAP has a teen writing club, and so I'll be thrilled to contact you, Stefan, if that's okay with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ebony and Laurie. Very, very interesting, very compelling stuff. And last and certainly not least is Edna Garcia-Pini from RISE. And Edna is a real force in this effort to deal with violence in our community. So Edna.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, the Berks Alliance, all my colleagues on the line, and all our coalition partners as well. I hope everyone is having a great day. So a little bit about me. Like Radara, I was born into a world of adversity, unfortunately. You know, my father did 16 years incarcerated, my mom, drug addiction. However, I was blessed with grandparents, and my grandmother identified my gifts and talents at a very young age, and began fostering the arts at a very young age for me. So with that being said, as cliche as it may sound, the arts really did save my life. Coming here to Berks County 17 years ago, I identified with the social ills that were happening, and also with the ills that our youth was facing. So instead of complaining about the problems, I said, what can I do to be solution orientated? And with that being said, I then founded RISE. And RISE is a youth arts organization that fosters the arts for healthy lifestyles. And through the RISE program last year in 2021, the Berks Youth Violence Prevention Roundtable was created. And it was created with a heartfelt mission to protect all kids from violence And our work is specifically rooted in community-based solutions that value all races and ethnicities. The BYVP is a collective of youth organizations, students, and youth activists. We believe that children have the right to be safe wherever they are, at school, at home, and in communities. And we believe that teaching kids to value inclusivity, speak up against injustice and victimization, and get help for those who need it will ensure a just future for everyone. The first initiative for the Berks Youth Violence Prevention Roundtable was the Berks for Peace campaign, which was slated in 2022. And I'm really excited. Many of the people on the call are partners for our 2023 campaign coming up next week. Youth Violence Prevention Week is the last week of April, being held April 24th through the 29th. And the Berks for Peace Walk campaign actually is united in action to change community norms with events that aim to unite and heal our youth. Berks for Peace is joining the others in the country to unite and lift up youth to make their schools and neighborhoods safe. National Youth Violence Prevention Week focuses on education, awareness, issue advocacy, and other activities that rally communities and inspire social change for youth violence prevention. It will be observed with a common goal in mind, and together we can end violence. This event will be multifaceted, including a youth teen summit, which Ebony mentioned, at Penn State next Wednesday on the 26th. Plug here, if anyone has any information that they would like to submit to the swag bags. On Tuesday, we are collecting information or sponsorships or donations at the Goggle Works at 4 p.m. in Studio 411. During the week as well, throughout Berks County, we have random act of culture dances across the county, which Jessica Warchel King is heading out of Alvernia. Workshops such as Poetry for Peace, which is a partnership with BCAP. We had a successful teen and parent poetry workshop last year where we created a community home, which this year we're moving into a larger project, and there's more news to come on that. And this year will be our second annual Berks for Peace campaign with a series of events and learning opportunities, which is part of the national initiative. On our website, on our Instagram, on all our social medias, there's an action toolkit that was specifically created for the community to use in their schools and libraries all across the county. There's some really good information there. I will send the toolkit, flyers, and all the information to Dave so that he can disseminate it to everyone here on the call, if that's okay with you, Dave.
Sure.
Some of the programming that we have in place for many years now, and some new programming. We have a year, this will be our third year of our Solidarity Camp. It's an arts camp and film production camp. It's held the last week of July at the Goggle Works. We bring in speakers and influencers on a national level. We've had folks from MTV, CNA, just the clique of different folks that I sometimes tap into my network to bring here to Berks County. We also have our Solidarity Project at the Children's Home of Reading, which Miss Ebony facilitates every Thursday. We have our free dance programs on Wednesdays and Thursdays, free hip hop for teens, youth, and adults, and jazz classes on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're creating workforce for youth in the arts. We have our Rise Above Bars program, which is for youth who may have incarcerated parents or family members. We have our Live to Read campaign, which is our third grade reading level campaign. We just hosted a multicultural author by the name of Catherine Serrano at Laws Elementary School, and we gifted 50 books. And we usually partner with the Olivets on a yearly bigger initiative and give out maybe 100 to 200 books to the Olivet kids as well. So we're looking forward to doing another one this year as well. As far as programming, that's all that I have here, but I really want to say thank you to everyone who has been part of the programming, the Berks for Peace, in a small way, in a large way. And if you can please join us for the walk on April 29th. It's free registration. It's on Eventbrite. And we meet at the Reading Area Community College at 9 a.m. and start the walk at 10 up to the Peace Dove. Oh, one thing that happened through the advocacy with the roundtable last year, Marsha Henneschitz was steering this as well with us, is the Peace Dove up at City Park has been restored through the efforts of the roundtable. So we're really pleased to have the unveiling of the new Peace Dove on April 29th as well. Again, thank you, and have a safe and wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Edna. So there's a lot going on. This is a big challenge for the community, but it sounds like there's lots of organizations. And the significant thing, I think, in my mind for a lot of this is that the collaboration, the importance of collaboration. Chris, you had mentioned that. And I think Ebony and Lori, the work that you're doing sort of depends on that sense of collaboration. So that's very significant. A lot of the focus today and in this conversation has been on the Reading and the city of Reading. Is this just a Reading issue? Would any of our people like to talk about that as a question?
Definitely not just a Reading issue. We know that the top leading cause of death for young people is gun violence. So we're seeing this across the states. I also had the pleasure of meeting different organizations outside of Reading, like in New York and Philadelphia, that are doing similar work to combat the same similar issues.
I also can say that the Not One More program is Reading and Muhlenberg Township.
Okay.
This is Jennifer from Reading Hospital. Although our focus area is the city of Reading, if someone was a patient who was had a violent related injury, they would still be offered case management.
Good. There's a lot of opportunity for people to become engaged and involved in things, and we have collected some of that through the chat function, so we'll make that available to people. We have a couple people that I'm going to be unfair and call on to talk about from their perspective. And I can see that she's already grimacing because she knows I'm going to call on her. But Dr. Murray, how much of a challenge is this for the Reading School District, and which of these partners do you work with?
So I work with a lot of them. We work with a lot of them. And just to echo Chris's Winter's words, they can't do it alone. We don't do it alone. We can't do it alone. And we're so big that one partner organization is not enough to handle us. So it's imperative that we constantly communicate with our partner organizations. I can tell you that the students at the Olivets and the other organizations, I visited the cafe at the Village of Reading with Rodera. Those students are showing success. That the students that are involved in the Olivets, when they're little, to teens, they are successful. And if it weren't for the Olivets, the Rec, the Hispano Center, I mean, I could go through all of these squares and name all of them, that we would have more victims, we would have more issues with the youth in Reading. So all of this work is very important. Because we're so big, it's very hard to organize so many partners. And I think that's kind of has been missing for a number of years, but it really seems like it's coming together it's like a machine where you have all these gears and you just need to get the gears operating. They're all operating, but they need to operate together. And I think that's what the difference is that I'm seeing over the past year. The funding that's coming in, it's being used effectively. It's being used smart, and we're building this comprehensive plan or system that we're all working together more. We still have a lot of work to do. By no means are we done, but I just want to throw something out to all of you. The the incidents that are happening in the city, I have valuable information where I can go back and track that young adult or youth back through elementary school. I can see that these kids that are in showing up at the hospitals, they have a certain profile, and we have the capability to see the risk factors in these youth. And our data system tells us these are the kids that have the highest risk factors, and we put our social workers on that. We have a plan to do that. But what we're seeing is students at a very elementary age are going to multiple elementary schools, sometimes in 1 year. So normally a student would, be in an elementary school, maybe transition one time maybe through their elementary. These kids that have gone to elementary are transitioning multiple times during the year. So they may go to Tyson Shaner, they may go to Riverside, they may show up in Manistee for a little bit, then they're going back to Duncan Green, or like that's
Right.
one of the common characteristics I see. I see truancy as a characteristic of some of our adult victims, young adults that they have. And then truancy turns into discipline at the middle school level. So that's just because I'm intrigued by, okay, how can we have kids that do really well in living in the same environment and kids who don't? So I'm looking at characteristics and factors and looking at patterns and trends. And that's one of the things I see. So I just wanted to throw that out there to all of you, just for something to chew on, just something to think about.
That's very, very helpful, very interesting information. That whole mobility, moving from place to place, stable housing, those kinds of things being challenges, being issues. Has COVID changed this situation in any ways? I can think of a couple, but I'm going to let you answer the question.
Yeah, for me, that question for me, COVID has completely changed everything that we do in ways that you would not even imagine. So the funding that we're pumping the funding into staffing for mental health crisis. So we have more social workers than we've ever had before. We are going to be requesting from the board more social worker positions for schools, counselors, agencies such as Karen and SNAP services, all of those. I mean, I can go on and on, but I can't name them all. But we're seeing that really is our focus. We're going back to the basics where Maslow's theory says that they need to feel safe, they need to be fed, they need to have shelter, and all of those things need to happen before the learning takes place. Well, we're back to the basics. We have been since we returned from COVID. And the social interaction is not there anymore. Proper or positive social reaction, I should say, is not there anymore. So we have to reteach a lot of that. How do you handle conflict resolution? How do you talk to, your peers, adults, those kinds of things? That's kind of what we're focusing on. And we are not alone. Reading School District is not alone in this problem. We're just so big, it's magnified, but you see it in Governor Mifflin, Wyomissing, Exeter, Muhlenberg, Wilson, you see it in all of the county schools as well. It's the same thing.
Yeah. One other, maybe more positive way that I think COVID has affected circumstances is bringing people together to try to solve some of the problems, the people that had not historically worked with each other. Is that something you've seen with the school district? Is that something?
Absolutely. So remote learning caused us to teach remote, where parents could see what's happening with the kids and their teachers at the same. So it actually was an educational experience for parents to see what the teacher was doing with the kids, learn how to decode words, learn about what they're learning in social study, and it engaged families more in the educational pieces of what we do. We also saw that our parent engagement of attendance for IEP meetings, for parent conferences went up drastically by using remote and Chromebooks and learning, because we had all of the Chromebooks in the classrooms, or in the households, as well as the Wi-Fi. So if they did not have Wi-Fi, we connected them with either hotspots or Comcast services, all of those, to make sure that they have broadband services. We continue those efforts. So when parent conference comes time, they have the option of either coming in or doing remote conferences, because we know that changed the attendance and the engagement of the families. So there's a bunch of positive things that came out of COVID.
Yeah.
That would be just one of them.
Good, good. I'm going to call on Mike Toledo to talk from his perspective about this issue. Mike, any insights that you have?
Thanks, Dave. I mean, I think in terms of what you heard today, I mean, we've been, preaching at the center. We're only as strong as the team that we have around us. No one organization here on this call can do this work alone. And we've heard time and time again from the different speakers how important collaboration and partnership is. It's a commitment that we made at the Hispanic Center when we partnered with the Harwood Institute for Public Innovation. How can we collectively bring the strength of each organization to bear on the issues that our communities are facing? So again, quite honestly, I'm encouraged about the level of partnership and collaboration that we're seeing, folks coming together. The Hispanic Center is partnering more and more with organizations we haven't in the past. The majority of the speakers who spoke today are part of the Harwood work that again, collectively we're doing. So again, very encouraged. I would just ask everyone to please continue to operate outside your comfort zone. I mean, we know that our families are living in constant crisis. We know that they need us more than ever. And the more we have opportunities where we can share resources, share knowledge, share opportunities to collaborate, it's going to be that much more impactful collectively for our community, for the youth and the families that we're trying to serve. So, Dave, thank you for putting this together, and thank you for the organizations that are doing such incredible work out in the community. You're valued, and we need you.
And, I feel like a high school teacher here by calling on people who aren't expecting to be called on. I'm going to ask Jack Knoxted, is there any perspective that you guys at Reading Housing Authority have about this issue, and how's it affecting what you do? You have to unmute, Jack.
You got him. You got him.
What can I say? Disaffected. Well,
He's coming back. There we go. Jack was my basketball coach when I was like in 6th grade, 7th grade. So, he could teach me how to do a layup, but working Zoom is a different monster altogether, right, Jack?
There should be down at the bottom of your screen a thing that says mute, unmute in the lower left-hand corner.
You can usually hit
For some reason, I have 3 screens, and I lose my cursor on my one screen, and I've been struggling throughout this through this webinar trying to find my cursor. So, and of course, you had to call me. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, didn't mean to pick on you.
Oh, that's okay. Reading Housing Authority is always looking to, and I'll use the word, collaborate with organizations to help our youth. We've had a long-standing relationship with all of it, and looking to kind of spread that menu of options for kids. And I've received a tremendous amount of information today, and we're in the process of looking to find or hire a youth services coordinator that's able to directly work with youth and families in our developments. Cheryl Lewis is down on the bottom screen. She's our service coordinator in Oak Brook. And currently, and we have some other service coordinators helping. Essentially, we're the social work department for the Housing Authority. So we link people to those services. And I see several people that once we get this service coordinator on board, that we will be contacting to kind of help us with our youth here in Oak Brook and in Glenside. So Dr. Murray and all the people out there, we're interested in working to, and we have from 1,200 kids, not all grade school level age, but 1,200 kids in Oak Brook and Glenside. So we have a large chunk of kids in our city that are in Glenside and Oak Brook and in Reading. How's it going?
Great, thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. I think this has been it's fascinating. It's so neat to see that there's so much happening in this area. And it's also exciting to see the willingness to collaborate and work together to try to share resources. There's a lot of stress with this issue, and being able to manage those resources and use them effectively is really, really critical to address this problem. We had a number of contact informations and other information that was submitted in the chat function. I'll make sure we send that out to everybody. I'll send a copy of the Reading Eagle article that was the inspiration for us doing this when we saw that there were so many organizations in Berks County getting money to address this problem. Edna, we will make sure people have access to some of the information about the activities that you're doing. And as I said, we will send copies of the video to everybody who, not just everybody who attended today, but everybody who registered for this event. Please encourage other people to take a look at this. It's exciting and interesting sort of stuff. A couple other quick commercials. The Berks Alliance does monthly forums like this. We're going to be doing one on May 11th. With focusing on what's the role of anchor institutions in our community. We're going to have presenters from the Federal Reserve Bank in Philadelphia and two responders who are local, the president of Tower Health, Reading Hospital, and the president of Albright College, talking about what their institutions do as anchor institutions. We also do a series of programs that we call Spotlight Series. There was mention made today of the Hardwood Project. We did a forum on that project, and we're going to be doing a spotlight coming up probably sometime in May about this as well, and a number of other organizations. We're very interested in what other conversations do people want to have in our community. So if you have ideas and thoughts about things that we could highlight, things we could focus on, things we could engage people in the conversation about, we really welcome those as well. So look for the video coming and a whole bunch of other information that's being put here in the website that we'll share with everybody, and want to thank you for spending your Thursday afternoon with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a lot from this. Thank you.
Be safe, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Bye.